People who declined a proposal. Why did you do it? I was in my first few years of teaching and one of my 9-year-old students brought his sister's play ring to school, got down on one knee when the class was on the field, and he proposed to me. It was very sweet. I declined, saying that he was a little young for me. He was that weird stoner patron that came in just to talk to me even though I wasn't interested. He told me he was the heir to the Commonwealth and should be king after Elizabeth dies, because he had the 3 out of the emblems of the United Kingdom, and once he got the 4th it would secure his position. He would also make airplane noises when I had my attention turned to other tasks. That's a no, Jason. Got asked in college by a close female friend. We weren't dating. I hadn't ever felt an attraction to her, and I knew she just wanted a husband more than she wanted me. The actual person 100% yikes. My mother was engaged to a man while she was in college. The wedding plans were well underway, and as the wedding got closer, her fiancé started acting super clingy and possessive. She called it off a few months before getting married. He has lived locally their whole lives, so she's run into him a few times. Apparently he's the super jealous type who doesn't let his wives have male friends, and he has been married 3 times. My mom definitely dodged a bullet. He asked me randomly when on a night out when we weren't even dating, just friends. I thought he was joking, but then he came over the next day to ask what my feelings were. I had to say I didn't think of him that way, and it was awkward for a while. I thought my ex had anger management issues, and I didn't get along with his mother. He was too attached to her. He later became a violent alcoholic. Years after we broke up, he also stole quite a bit of money from me to give to his mother for bills. I was not aware of this until months after the fact. I feel like I dodged a huge bullet there. He literally only proposed because I caught him cheating. He thought I would say yes. OMG, of course. I forgive you. Please, continue to cheat on me after we both sign a legally binding contract. Dude was dumb. Well, he proposed as I was breaking up with him, which was awkward, and for some reason he thought it would make me change my mind. Also, he had threatened to kill my family the day before, hence the breakup. So there's that. Edit. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. At the time, this was my first relationship and I was very naive. I was 19 and he was 20, and we had dated for roughly 5-6 months. I'm now in a very happy, stable, and healthy relationship. I was fresh out of high school and dating a guy in the military that I went to school with. We had been dating about 3 months when he proposed. He was nice, and I could have seen a future with him, but 3 months was just too soon for me, even though we had been friends for quite some time. I told him I wasn't ready and he never spoke to me again. I was 15, he was 17. I wasn't ready. I liked him a lot but wasn't ready to plan a life with any one person at that age. When he asked, my future flashed in front of me and I hated it. He was a good guy and I did love him, but we wanted different things. We had been together for many years, but the proposal was still a surprise. I think he proposed to try and save a sinking relationship. He was pissed as a newt and we had only been dating a year. 10 years later he did it properly. We've been married 6 years. My mom had been dating a guy for a few weeks after his wife had just died from cancer. His daughter was at college and he was paying for her education, boarding, food. I had just turned 18 and started paying my mom rent money. He proposed but said that I needed to move out because he didn't like me and thought that I was a freeloader. My mom told him that she loved me more than him and that he could shove his dead wife's ring up his ass, and left him. My abusive girlfriend tried to get me to marry her. Then, she beat me with a chair for slightly overcooking the Thanksgiving turkey. Yeah, turns out that beating somebody so bad that you break their arm is a good way to get your proposal turned down. My husband proposed 1 month into dating. I declined because, 1 month. A year later we moved in together and he proposed and I declined because I wasn't ready. Almost 3 years later and 2 more declined proposals, I said yes on the 4th time. I finally felt ready. We have been married 11 years. In retrospect, his instincts were probably better than mine. Edit. Spelling and words are hard. Edit again. Math is also hard. And a gold. That's crazy. Thank you, stranger. OMG. I can answer this one in true Reddit fashion. Not me, boo-it. A coworker of mine, happily married for a good long while, told me that the only man she dated before her husband was obsessed with her, and pursued her even after she broke up with him, and had proposed multiple times before and after they broke up. He just had this unhealthy obsession with her for some reason. The last time he proposed to her was the day before her wedding to her husband. She of course turned him down, and he finally moved on and married a different girl. I told her jokingly that he sounded unhinged and she really dodged a bullet there. She went quiet for a moment and then said, "Well, he killed the woman he did end up marrying." I was 16 and about to move to California with my grandma and away from my abusive household. Dude I was dating asked me to marry him and I told him no because I knew moving would give me better opportunities than the shitty small town I was living in. I felt suffocated in that town and needed to work on myself after being abused by my parents. There was a guy who proposed his co-worker in the middle of their shift. The girl shouted something rude and walked away. A few minutes go by and the girl comes back with a smile on her face. And X200B. That day I realized that a pair of twins worked at my workplace. That day I witnessed that a guy proposed her girlfriend's twin by accident. Proposed to my college girlfriend when I was 20 and she was 21. We had been dating for a year and she got pregnant. I thought we were in love because everything was great and I genuinely loved her. I had a great job and so I proposed because I wanted to marry her and start a family. She then broke down and started crying. She told me she had been sleeping with her ex-boyfriend for the past month. She then said that she didn't know who the baby belonged to so went and got an abortion without consulting me or him. She got back together with him and I spiraled into alcoholism for the next few years. I'm about to turn 30 now. Went back to college 2 years ago and no longer use drugs or alcohol, besides weed sometimes. I'm starting life over again at 30 after all that, and having to take care of my grandfather who had a stroke. Life is fucking weird. Edit. Oh my gosh guys. I had no idea this would get so much attention. I'm trying to reply to comments but my inbox is exploding. Thank you so much for the gold and silver and all the kind words. Your replies have been so inspiring. I'm on the opposite side of this story, but it's still a good one. This was years ago. My girlfriend and I were at a friend's wedding, and I got caught up in the romanticism of it and wound up blurting out a proposal at the reception. She said no, and explained that this wasn't the memory of a proposal that she wanted. It felt tacky to tie this important moment to someone else's special day, and she told me to ask her again later, in a different setting. Literally 5 minutes later, they announced that the bride was going to throw the bouquet. All the girls lined up. It went into the air, and sailed straight into my girlfriend's arms. She laughed, turned to me, and said, "That moment is pretty good. Okay, I guess we're engaged." My answer's a little different. BC religion where dating isn't really a thing. So you're either seriously considering marrying that person or you don't date. But I have no idea why he was interested. Personality wise it was a terrible match. I didn't feel like he saw me when he looked at me. He had some other idea in his head he was trying to make me fit into but it wasn't anything like the real me. He took that really badly, which just proves my point that I don't wanna marry him. Also, he wore this cologne that provoked a strong disgust reaction in me. I don't know what that scent is but I hate it. Another time. 20 years older than me is too much. That guy was really nice but I don't want to marry a sugar daddy, as tempting as that sometimes sounds. We were 13, 14, 15. He kept proposing. I kept saying we were too young. He eventually broke up with me because I continued to not sleep with him. In retrospect he was a manipulative bastard and he messed me up for years. Luckily, my husband has been a son in dealing with my issues. Not me but my hairdresser and I were talking about her recent breakup the other day. She had been dating her BF for 7 years. He never proposed so she broke up with him. Didn't want to waste her time. As she was breaking up with him he proposed. She said no. I was 16 and not pregnant. He said I could go to college later if I still wanted to after we had kids. These are all very good reasons. I used to wonder why if someone would say no why would they keep seeing the person but now I get it. Watching those cringe-worthy rejections on YouTube is super fun though. He was a stranger on the bus to the city. He said he'd give me an entire closet of clothing if I married him. IDs on clause he said. He wanted a green card. I asked why not money. He said he didn't have any. I told him no thanks. He said okay, looked forward at the seat ahead and sighed, then immediately swiveled his head back at me. Have asked if I had any sisters. No. Another sigh. Because she was like 30 years younger than I was, And I already married her mother, who gave birth to her 5 years ago. I love her 3000, so there's that. Edit. Hey. Thanks for the gold, internet stranger. I'll make sure to pass it on to my daughter when she grows up. Something to remember me by, even though I spurned her proposal.